Hi everyone and welcome to Warmer. We're your hosts Jack
And Dan.
Today we're going to be talking about some massive Necron changes that's just happened.
Huge changes. Last week, GW dropped updates to points and rules for every faction.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about what happened with Necrons.
Yeah.
Which units got hit hardest. Which units got the best buffs.
Mm-hmm.
And are there some units and detachments that are now looking a bit more interesting than they were? Maybe. Yeah. No spoilers. Yeah. But before we do that, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. The channel's going really well. We appreciate it all, but any help you can give us would be fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. He's back.
Yes.
We'll get more into it later on. But
we're both pretty.
He's on the table for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, So I guess let's talk about this. So what are these changes then? So Games Workshop has released a quarterly update to try to keep up with the 40k match play balance.
Yeah. It's good that they try and balance it every quarter. I think. I mean, yeah.
Do this. And then twice a year. This includes changes to the core rules as well.
Yes. This one was not one of those. It's this one. It's just changes to units and points and faction rules. Is that right?
That is the one.
Okay.
That is the one. But yeah, so it's really good because people we need this basically. If we go too long without a points change, it gets stale. But also, there's a lot of units on my shelf that I've not played for a very long time.
This is one of the things I love about it is that they use it to address internal balance. So it's not just like, right, this is your competitive build and we're going to nerf that. They're also like, right, this detachment isn't being played or these units aren't being played. Let's give them a little love.
A little bit of a TLC.
Yeah. That's where GW has been shining this edition, and long may it last.
So, don't want to go back to 9th.
No,
That was bad. But yes, so. And do you want to go a bit more in the deal then?
Yeah, well, let's take these points nerfs. I suppose we'll start with the negatives. Death marks, they went up plus 5 points for unit of 5 and plus 10 points for unit of 10.
Sadness.
So that's 65 points now for 5 and 130 for a full unit.
Yep.
What about Locust Destroyers? I know they're a staple in your list. This wasn't actually too bad, but
no. So they've went up 5 points for one unit.
This is an interesting nuance. So it's plus 5 if you take them individually. Instead of 30 points, they're 35. But there's no change for the larger units, is there?
I hate when they do that sort of stuff. Because they've obviously done this entire edition to be like, all right, cool, it's simple math.
Yes.
That costs 30 points.
Yeah.
You have free, guess what? It costs 90.
Yes.
Quick math. But now they've changed it slightly, which I get why, because obviously people were just bringing one to be like, all right, this guy's going to camp this objective.
Action monkeys.
Action monkeys. They just really don't like action monkeys, do they?
They try and prevent the cheap action monkeys, but
they got rid of Ripper Swarms.
Yeah,
obviously the
Scarabs
as well. They just don't like them. So
I think they're trying to make you I think they feel like cheap action monkeys somehow go against the spirit of the game. So when they find them, they do nerf them. I mean, it's only 5 points, but I quite like this nuance because they're saying, right, rather than a blanket 5 points across the board, which would have really hurt, they've just gone, well, if you take one specifically for this, take your nerf. Yeah. If you're taking them in blobs of 6 like you like to do,
you're getting a discount.
Yeah,
in a deal.
Yeah, you're still getting a good deal. Happy days.
But maybe they just want you to buy more models, Dan. That's what they're making them do.
Yeah, that's partly as well. Yeah, but they're bigger brothers. Sad times for them though. They did get 5 points across the board. Plus, so it's 55 points for one now, 110 for 2, and 165 for 3.
Yeah.
Also, going even bigger, a couple of the really big models got some nerfs, didn't they?
They did. The Monolith and the Tesseract Vault both went up by 25 points.
Ouch.
So the Monolith is now 400 points and the Vault is now 425. They missed a trick on that one, but 420.
Yeah.
but I mean, the Tesseract Vault, did it really deserve 25 points? Did it really? I know some people were bringing it because the overhanging side of things allows it to do some jank, but realistically,
I've played against it when Carl from Planet 40k brought it in his list, and it was good, but I don't think it was 425 points good.
That's it.
I still feel like they can't get the big stuff right. It felt at the beginning of the edition that they didn't really want us to play the big models. Yeah. And then they were like, no, we do. Here, have some support.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're kind of taking it away again.
So, you've had your turn.
Yeah. You had your 3 months now. Yeah, we've sold some monoliths. Get back on the job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The monolith, look, it's a good model. It works really well in the Hypercrypt Legion and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see where the points is coming from, but Tesseract Vault, I think that was a bit of a shot in the dark, personally.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. that. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think Monolith, most players would say fair enough, but the Tesseract Vault is a bit like, what?
Why?
Yeah.
Why? But there's been some other changes as well, haven't there?
Yeah, there's one more nerf, which was more of a kind of on the FAQ side. So the FAQ, the Plasmancer's Living Lightning ability, is just to clarify that you can't use it on lone operative units unless obviously you're within 12 inches.
I think that makes sense.
I think so.
For someone to get around lone operative seems a bit.
Exactly, that's it. Like you can't shoot me because you can't see me, but you can living lightning me. Seems a bit weird. Yeah. So it was probably I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Overall, I don't think the changes were that bad in terms of the nerfs.
Yeah, I would agree.
They were all right. I think we got away. Some other units could have certainly went up, like Wraiths and whatnot, because they're still seeing a lot of good use. Yeah,
exactly. I think there was a couple. Catan, you could argue maybe still dodged the bullet.
They're so good at dodging the bullets all the time with it. I think there was that massive release last time when they're like, they're going up, they're too good, and then just didn't get hit.
Yeah,
everyone's like, okay, rubbing their hands, like, oh, this sounds good.
Yeah, I would fully agree. I think I'm spend probably more time than is healthy on the Necron Facebook groups, and they're quite a salty bunch. But they weren't too upset about these.
No,
most people kind of went okay. Yeah, so I think that's a good indicator.
I think some of our armies got hit harder than us. Thousand Suns players out there are probably crying because all of their
friend Alex,
he was like, well, what's the point?
Yeah,
I think this is just crazy.
Well, they kind of made a build in Thousand Suns with which made Magnus really good, and then they've just kind of pulled the rug out from all of those units in that build have just gone. Yes. And as a Dark Eldar player, most Dark Eldar Chikari lists have gone up by about 100 points, like a 5% increase, which is quite a lot.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah,
that's quite a lot.
But again, we probably needed it. So I'll take it. Yeah,
fair enough.
But yeah, I agree. I think as we said, I think the living lightning ability, that's fair enough. It shouldn't trump lone op.
Yeah.
Increases with death marks and single locus probably seem reasonable. The only one I would argue about possibly is the locus heavies. I'm not sure that they deserved a 5 points a model increase.
Yeah, 50 points seemed okay. Yeah. I mean, probably just because the flat 6 damage was really good.
The 6 damage is good, but they are quite relatively squishy, like, because they're not tanks. If you get them in, you have to pop out to shoot a tank, and if you don't kill it, they're going to kill you. That's just how it is.
Again, it would have been nice if they'd done the discounted bargain. You take 3, you get so many points off, kind of thing, very similar to the Locust ones. But the change does seem a bit.
I think on the Monolith, I kind of can see it, but I think I would have preferred maybe it's 10 or 15 points, and then they've got the opportunity to go up a bit further if they needed to. But fair.
Yeah, because the Monolith doesn't have the invuln save really, so it's kind of like you have to take them in the hypercrypt to get the invuln save for 1 CP. Yes. So you can give it, but it's 400 points. It's
also super swingy on a 4.
True.
You either make your 4 ups or you don't.
Yeah.
But moving on, then we've also while we got a few nerfs there, we also got some really interesting points buffs, didn't we?
We did.
Do you want to kick us off?
I certainly can. So the Annihilation Barge went down 10 points, so that's now sitting at 105 points. I don't know if I'd play it. I don't know. But
I think I'll come on to this, but I think it's interesting now for a specific reason. The other one, its cousin, if you like, the Catacomb Command Barge, is also down 10 points. That's 120 points. I still ain't taking that one.
No, yeah. But this one, though, the Doomsday Arc went down 10 points.
Yes.
How?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I'll take it. I think all Necron players out there are like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
for sure. But I thought it was a solid unit being played quite a lot. So for that to go down in 10 points,
I've seen that. Barring Canoptek Court, where you take the Doomstalker, I've seen this in almost every Necron list I've played again.
It's a solid stat block. We've done a video on it before, so go check it out. But realistically, it's literally like good shooting, good maneuverability, very tough.
Yeah.
It's got everything you need.
Yeah. I'm sure it was 190 and then they put it up to 200. Now they've dropped it back down. Sure. Let us know if I've got that wrong, but that's how I'm remembering it.
We'll take it regardless.
Yeah. And then while they put the Monolith and the Tesseract Vault up, one of the other big boys came down in points, didn't it?
Yes. The Obelisk, minus 25 points. Don't think
it's down to 300 points. I don't know,
Sure.
Is anybody running that? Has anybody got one? I haven't got one.
I haven't got one.
No.
I want one though.
You want one now?
It's just because of the model.
Yeah.
It would be a nice little background piece because it's just this big triangle. But realistically, it's no. I don't think anyone's bringing it. It's because everyone brings the Tesseract Vault.
Yeah.
So there's no point really. Moving on.
Yes, we've got a couple other ones. These ones are also, in my opinion, really interesting. Triarch Praetorians went down 20 points per 5 and 40 points per 10.
That's big.
So they're now 5 Praetorians are now 100 points or 200 for 10. And that is a really big discount.
It's massive.
Very sexy.
Yeah, 20 points is quite a big for 5 units.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
going back to Lich God is still 85 points, so not 15 points away from that.
Yeah,
for
and
extra bit of maneuverability.
Yeah, a bit of shooting, bit of maneuverability. Got deep strike. But staying on the Triarch theme to finish us off, there was one more that went down in points. What was that?
The Triarch Stalker. That went down 15 points, so that is now 110.
That's also all of a sudden looking
because
okay.
that's got some really nice abilities to buff other things. I think if you hit things, people hit that unit easier and such. And it's also got some really good shooting abilities as well.
Yeah, really nice.
It's there's a theme going on with Triarch, isn't there? It's,
this is a long-awaited change, which Necron players have been asking for since the edition launched.
Pretty much, because I know I think we've said several times that the Obeisance Phalanx detachment. I even nailed that saying. I normally get everything wrong on this channel, but I nailed that one. So that detachment is arguably, in my opinion, one of the worst ones out there to run.
It certainly was.
Or it is very difficult to run. But now with these changes to Triarch, obviously one of the other big changes out there, outside of the buffs, is the Silent King now has the Triarch keyword.
At long last.
We literally said it in our last video, being like, what are they playing at? They need that to have it. So
it seems
long overdue.
That's exactly it, because it always felt like a mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why it's taken them so long to sort it out.
Yeah.
But, they have. So happy days.
So thank you. Eventually.
Yeah.
But so the Silent King, the Triarch keyword, because basically the Obeisance Phalanx, that is his detachment. And for him, literally, because that was the argument, the guys either side of the Silent King are his Triarchs.
Yes.
So it's like, if the Triarch is actually on the model, why isn't this? Why doesn't it have the keyword?
Yeah.
Yes. Crazy. But one thing I do want to mention about the buffs before we move on to more about why I like this unit more. Fortifications. Why didn't the Convergence of Dominion go down in points again?
Well, it's just because you want to run it.
I do want to run it. I want to make it work.
You're right. Along with the Obelisk, that must be the least played unit in the Codex.
Yeah.
It must be.
It's got to be, because it's
nobody takes it.
No one takes it. I've got 3 lovely painted ones, which I absolutely
That's
love.
why you want to.
I do want to
spend
run
hours on them. Yeah. Never seen the tabletop. Yeah.
So I'm not buying. I'm getting them 3D printed, but I'm getting 6 more. Because I want to run 9 of these things.
You're a madman.
I'm a mad scientist, Daniel.
Yeah, I love it. I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, that is the plan, because I'm gonna make them make Convergence of Dominion great again.
Yes.
Taking a page out of your book.
Yes. Stealing my sayings.
Yeah.
I mean, I still ain't taking Obelix said, but I think Praetorians and Stalk are going to see some love.
Yeah.
Stalkers and Annihilation Barges, I think they're almost playable.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit more in depth about what we think this overall, all of these changes mean for Necron list building. And I think you were right. We want to start looking at that detachment.
Yeah.
Necron Nick from Idic Beer has also done a good video on this, but it's worth recapping our thoughts on this.
Well, so he brought to my attention, because I remember him briefly mentioning it, I'm running this detachment, and I was like, you've got to tell me how it works. You've got to tell me how it runs. And I watched him play it, and it was really good. And I was like, for being that this list was before the changes.
Yes.
So I'm like, now with those changes, what Nick ran, I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
this is going to be even better.
I mean, obviously, our channel, we're not super sweaty competitive, but we try and build the best list to play against each other, don't we?
Obviously, we do.
So if you've been, play what you like in casual play, but if we're talking here about if this is a viable list to run in a game, like if we were going to play our friend Dan and he was bringing his Nasty Demons list, could we try this out? And I think we're getting there.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
I think because again, this guy is he hits hard, got some really good abilities, and then now he's got the Triarch keyword. He just now benefits from his own detachment.
Yeah.
So he's going to get more and more buffs realistically.
And off camera, you mentioned a really good point here that in the same way as the monolith is the Hypocrite Legion strats and things are kind of built around the monolith.
Yeah.
There's this detachment feels like it's built around the Silent King. He's meant to be in it, isn't he?
He's meant to be in it, but obviously whenever people run it, he's not in it.
Because he didn't benefit.
He didn't benefit from the abilities. So should I talk more about it then?
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah.
So basically the Obeisance Phalanx, that gets their ability is that it is, I think it's Lich Guard, Nobles, Triarch, and a couple of us basically get the ability where they get a +1 to their wound roll against specific. So it's like an oath of movement.
It's like
where
yes.
you select a unit.
Yeah.
Everything that has these abilities and keywords, target that unit, get a +1 to their wound.
Yeah.
Really good.
It is
That's really nice. It works very well for Space Marines. It'll work very well for this unit.
+1 a wound is really big. Yeah.
For a lot of things.
And now that more units can benefit, including him, can benefit from that ability, that is big. Yeah.
Exactly. So now that he's got that keyword, he's going to benefit. It's going to be really good.
Good.
One of the other big changes is that I briefly mentioned it just there, but the nobles keyword also now benefit in the obeisance phalanx one. So I think one of the examples that we had, for off the top of my head, was you can bring a squad of Lich Guard that benefit from the detachment, but if you could put a HQ in
an overlord
unit, an overlord, for example, they wouldn't benefit from the detachment, because they're not a Triarch or Lich Guard,
right?
And
so
it was like,
so a bit like they've done with the Silent King, the noble keywords in there now. So if the Overlord's leading the Lich Guard, both the Lich Guard and the Overlord now benefit from the detachment.
Exactly.
That's good. That's
I think
good.
there was like some other because I think, does the Cryptex have noble keyword actually?
I don't think so. I think it's Overlords and
I have to double check that. But I think just basically
I think it's Overlords and Royal Wardens off the top of my head. Again, let's know.
But this just basically having that keyword in there just opens the door to a lot more Necron units out there to benefit from.
And it just makes sense, like, because again, it's kind of built around the aristocracy, if you like, and the elites, and so nobles should be able to benefit from the detachment rule. So this is good.
Exactly. One of the things that I want people to double check me on, but from what I can read, this sounds crazy, right? So bear with me. So there's a stratagem that you can get, territorial obsession.
Yes.
I'm getting these. I'm nailing them today.
You are on fire today.
Thank
yes.
you. So basically, this stratagem basically gives one Lich Guard or Triarch unit extra OC. So and then vehicles, if you have the vehicle keyword, you get an extra 3 OC.
Yes.
So the Silent King has 6 flat. So
Yep.
the Silent King has 6 flat.
Yep.
He'll go up to 9.
Yep.
Because he gets these, because the unit has their vehicle keyword. Then the Minears, either side, they have 1 OC, but since they've got the vehicle keyword, they go to 4. So in total, does the Silent King's unit have 17 OC?
I've seen a bit of discussion on this on online, and it does look rules as written. That's how it looks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that is a massive buff. That's better than the Norm Emissary.
Norm Emissary, yeah. Does she get 15 OC on one objective, doesn't she?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, that could really swing a game. Because if you can whack that much OC on an objective to steal it off your opponent, that's big.
Because again, you got the reanimation, so yes, your Minear will go down, but you'll be bringing them back as the game goes on. So that is massive. To be fair, that's a really big buff specifically for the Silent King.
I wonder if there is a play, and I've seen people castle up with the Silent King already, where they'll put like a Canoptic Spider and a Reanimator with him to get the additional wounds back, or a Technomancer. And now if you can play that strat every turn and just guarantee, or when you need to guarantee that objective.
We've said before when we've discussed the Silent King, I've said, people like to castle him, and you'll put like some, because obviously he gives like auras out every single turn,
and stuff,
rerolls and whatnot. I was always like, I'm against castling because I feel like I want to rely too much on this, but this now being such a solid unit, I'm kind of leaning more towards towering the Silent King in the Obeisance Phalanx, just moving up as a blob. I think it would work really well.
Death Star Necrons are back.
Back, exactly. They're back, baby.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so I think overall, massive changes for Obeisance Phalanx. I think they got some really good play. Again, competitive side of things, hard to say, maybe too early to tell just yet.
It looks worth a try at least, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah, it's this again. This is quite nice. The detachment itself has went from me not even giving it a second thought to now thinking, oh, there's a list now here that I could run and play and have fun with. So I'm looking forward to it, I think.
Good. Oh, yeah, me too. I definitely need to finish my Silent King before. But
I'm glad this is done. It was a lot of hours putting in this one.
Well worth it. Looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I think, talking about worth a try, the Annihilation Barge, the Triarch Stalker, and the Triarch Praetorians all got points drops. I think they are worth a try. The Praetorians have, just to very quickly recap, they've got Deep Strike, they can reroll charges, and they've got fallback and charge. In melee, they've got AP2, damage 2, and in shooting, it's the same. So it's a decent profile. So in terms of the Obeisance Phalanx, obviously, they've good play there. And I think in the Hypercrypt Legion, there's definitely play for them at 100 points for 5. You can drop them in. They can eliminate small enemy units. So if you're running into 10 of them, and the reroll charges on a 9, a deep strike in outside a 9-inch charge with a reroll. you know,
averages are getting better. With the reroll goes really good.
Yeah, the reroll definitely helps. The Triarch Stalker, he is actually pretty cool at these points. He's got a heat ray gun you can put him with, and that's got an anti-chaff profile, which is 2d6 torrent, strength 5, AP1, damage 1. I mean, come on. Or you can fire it as anti-tank, which is strength 9, AP4, d6, melter 4.
Having that flexibility in game to change from the profiles is always something that I think is underrated. I think it's really good.
It's got Scout 8, and on top of that, after it's shot a unit, your other units can ignore cover when shooting at the same target. So this is very exciting.
Yeah.
The Annihilation Barge, I think you want the Tesla loadout all the way for an anti-horde meta, because we'll talk about that in a minute. But Malevolent Arcane on a 5+, it does D3 mortal wounds to other units within 3 inches of a target unit. So if your opponent's quite tightly packed, got lots of models on the board, you can put some good stuff out there, some good damage output.
Very nice.
Also, my other thoughts, Hex Marks I think now look better value than Death Marks. We've recently done a video about Hex Mark destroyers, and particularly using them in
Hypercrypt Legion?
Yeah, Hypercrypt in particular, but I think they're good value in anything. But if you're thinking about using Death Marks largely for deep striking and scoring secondaries with a bit of shooting, well, this does the same, and it's a smaller footprint. You know, so it's easier to drop into places. Unless you really need precision to shoot at, to shoot those kind of lower level enemy characters,
Imperial Guard kind of guys.
And as I just touched on before, I think because of the changes to some of the other factions, we are probably going to lean more back into a horde meta. Orcs got enormous point cuts across the board. I mean, they needed something.
Scary.
But I think we're going to see a lot of boys on the table.
We need stuff to deal with that.
Yeah. And Gene Stealer cults as well. They got massive points cuts across the board. So you're going to both of those are armies that could already put a lot of models on the table and can now put more. So this is great timing, I think, to try more anti-horde units in your list, like the Annihilation Barge and the Stalker. The other one I put on as a favourite of yours.
Very close to my heart. Flayed ones.
Yes.
10.
So they've been, a lot of people have been running them in 5s as early point scorers, because they've got infiltrate. But there's an argument to run them in 10s against horde list, isn't there?
Which I'm always for.
I'm
always for. Those rerolls, those just twiddling shivers because it's so good.
And I think the other things, if you're not using them already, I know they've just gone up in points, but Locust Heavy Destroyers with the Enmitic Exterminator, the anti-horde gun.
That underrated again. Very good. I always fall victim of bringing the Gauss Destructor, because I'm like, cool name, awesome damage, good maneuverability, but I'm like, again with this horde list now coming in, you do need some. I'm
also thinking with the points drop on the Doomsday Arc down to 190 and 3 Locust Heavies with the Gauss is 165. I think I'd for the extra points, 25 points, I'd probably rather run a Doomsday Arc.
Because again, you've got the anti-tank, you've got the anti-tank and built in.
Yeah, you've got anti-infantry as well. Yeah, you're right.
Very tough as well.
It's got the 4-pin run, much harder to shift.
Yeah. Same movement as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's slightly more on the
10 inch down
on the arc. Yeah.
Good.
So there's for the extra 25 points, I think the arc is looking better for the anti-tank now. But that, we'll see.
We'll see indeed.
Well, good. So I think there's been a lot to digest. We've gone through it kind of rapid fire there, but wanted to try and cover all the points. Obviously, let us know your thoughts in the comments. But what about your final thoughts to wrap this up?
Honestly, I just think it's a very good points change for us. We've had worse. Let's say that. It's been bad for us in the past. I'm very happy that they've not nerfed us into the ground. Yes, there's been some nerfs. Again, death marks, monoliths and such kind of going up. Realistically, I can see it. Death mark's really good for secondaries. Monolith's really good for killing. I think deserved. Again, other things going down like the Triarch stuff, Triarch changes. I think they've made an entire section of the Necron Codex playable again.
Yes,
which is nice.
Yes,
I've got a Triarch Stalker over there. Never fielded them. Yeah. Painted it lovely. That's one of the first models I painted when I came back into the hobby a few years ago. I'm looking forward to getting.
It's a beautiful model.
Yeah.
And I fully agree. I think one of the advantages of being a Necron player is the strength and depth of our codex.
Yeah.
So when they take something away with one hand, if they give us some buffs with the other, then all of a sudden these ideas should start forming in your head of like, right, well, instead of this unit, I can take this, because we've always got alternatives. And that's one of the things that makes Necron so much fun to list build with and to play with, is because there's such richness in the codex, isn't there?
Exactly. The only issue that I've got now with these changes is that I've got to buy more models. I need more Triarchs. Again, I'm like, a list appears and I want to make it work. So I want to try and make the obedience phalanx detachment very good again.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the first one I'll try is tweaking my Hypercrypt list. I want to get some Triumph Praetorians in there and see how they run.
Yeah.
And I'm actually seriously considering a kind of Upsall vehicles list in Hypercrypt as well.
That would be an interesting one to see. I think it's doable.
Annihilation barges. I've got a couple of those. I might get a third one and just run, run them with Doomsday Arcs and some Triumph Stalkers, and then maybe a couple of other units for point scoring.
Yeah.
See if that's viable.
Yeah.
But particularly in a Horde meta, and in our bubble meta, one of our friends plays Orcs, and he's going to be, and he does have 120 boys, and he will play them.
The hands at a moment's notice. Yeah. So that's going to be scary.
I think we need some. I think running, and also just in general, I think we're going to see more Horde lists.
Yeah.
So trying more vehicles, more anti-Horde, and let's see if that works.
Exactly. It's so annoying because they've just made these changes, and I was just getting into my knights, getting into my Tyranids, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then they were like, oh, this is now viable. I'm like, they brought me back to Necrons again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited. I've got me. As you can probably tell, I think we're both bursting with ideas, and you should be too. Yeah. There's so many new ways to try list building and playing Necrons now. It's going to be a very exciting meta for us, and I think we're still going to be reasonably strong.
Yeah,
not OP, but we're going to, we can compete.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good.
Yeah, no, very good. I think that's everything then, right?
Yeah, awesome. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. And if you haven't watched our Necron unit reviews, we've got reviews on most of the Necron units now in the library. So go and check those out. Yeah. And we'll be back soon with another video.
Thank you so much.